Well, hey, this is Jason. Today I wanted to do a follow-up on Calibamboo's Cali Vinyl Pro line of flooring. I did a video a few years ago where I did a bathroom with this product and really was asking the question, why did we choose this product? What did we like about the product? And then we were in the process of deciding, did we want to use this floor throughout the remainder of our home when we did a major renovation? Well, here we are. We finished our renovation, renovated our kitchen, and we replaced flooring throughout the vast majority of our home. We did decide to go with the Cali Vinyl Pro. This is the classic acacia floor. And today I want to answer just a few questions about this product. It's been 2 years now since we've had Cali Vinyl Pro installed. So is this something that we recommend? And is this something that I think you can do yourself? Is this a DIY product? And then lastly, kind of the money question on a vinyl floor is, does it scratch? So let me link you to that past video. If you want to see why we decided to go with this video, you can check that link up here. I talked about how this is a limestone product. It is very hard and firm. In fact, one of the reasons that I picked this product over some of the other vinyl products that I saw was just how firm it is. It's got a limestone center. And one of the tests that I use, this is extremely unscientific, but I simply took these edges of the floor and tried to see if I could snap them with my hand. A lot of the samples that I got of some different products, I could actually easily snap off with a thumb, and that made me really question the long-term durability of these products. Vinyl is waterproof, and so we wanted to do that throughout our home because we started down there in our laundry room. It carries into 3 different bathrooms and then also into the kitchen. And since the install over the last 2 years, we've had our dishwasher overflow a time or two, so we've gotten a lot of water on this product. We've got young kids, so they spill water, and this is not something that we have to worry about it. So after 2 years, is this the type of product that I would recommend that you install in your home? And the answer is absolutely I would. I think this is a fantastic product because of the waterproof nature of the floor. It's probably one of the easiest floors that you can actually install yourself. And overall, the wear and tear on the floor is gonna be a little bit easier than wood. I would recommend this product. One of the reasons we almost didn't go with this product is at the time, we didn't like a lot of the colors that they had available. Since we've installed this, they've come out with 3 or 4 more product lines with a variety of new colors. They even have some longer planks and some wider planks that are available. If I had to do this floor today, we probably would have picked a lighter color, and we also probably would have went with one of their long boards to get a little bit of a different look. But we are very happy with this floor. And we installed this ourselves. It's actually 96 rows continuously running from basically the start of our house over there all the way to the bedrooms that are on that side of the house. This is a pretty long run of flooring, and then we took it into another room that's over there as well. So I do recommend it. It has a very good look and feel. And then we got to ask the question, is this something that you should do yourself? Well, I think you can do this yourself, but here are some reasons you may not want to. First, consider the shape of your home. If your home has a lot of rectangle and square rooms, it's going to be extremely easy to install. So if you're just doing row after row without having to do any angled or corner cuts or turning into different rooms, it's actually a really easy product to install. In fact, our living room, which is about 18 by 14, so it's a pretty big room, but it's a perfect rectangle. I was able to do that room in about the same amount of time than we did a small bathroom that was like 30 square feet. Because in the bathroom, you're going up against and around the toilet flange, you're going up against the tub, you're having to make cuts around the door jamb. That's the type of stuff that makes it fairly difficult to do. And one of the challenges with a floor product like this, because it's limestone and it's so hard, is it's kind of difficult to cut. And so if I had to do this product over again, what I would buy is I would buy a radial arm chop saw. So pull it down and you can move the saw radially. That's the type of thing I should have bought to do this floor. I actually used a table saw, which is a pretty good option, but even that is fairly difficult to get a straight cut on this product. You also can do score and snap. So you take a utility knife, score where you need to, cut the product, and then snap it. But I didn't find that to be a good solution. One, if you're cutting right where you're putting your floor, you're risking scraping the floor as you're installing it. And sometimes the snaps weren't particularly clean. And it's also kind of hard. You got to dig in pretty good with that utility knife and then snap. That's a fairly difficult thing to do if you're going to do this much floor. Now, maybe if you're just doing a small room, you're not going to mind just doing the score and snap method. But then again, if you have to rip a piece, so in other words, if you have to take one of these planks and cut down the middle lengthwise. These are 4 feet long. You're not going to do that with a utility knife. At that point, you're really going to need a table saw to do your rip cuts as you get to the end of your row. One of the other challenges that we had with installing this floor is think about the subfloor of your home when you get your other flooring off. So we pulled carpet off and we pulled some sticky tile off. And when you get down to your subfloor, that's where you have to do a lot more work than I was really aware of. You have to make sure your floor is flat. You have to make sure your subfloor is not moist, that it's in good condition to put this type of a product down. If you have big dips in your floor, then when you put your floor over top, you're gonna feel that bounce. Not only are you gonna feel the bounce, it may actually be impossible to get the floor to click together and to line up because it's bending in the middle. And so that's something you have to be aware of. If you take a look at your subfloor and it's not in good shape, you're gonna have to do a lot of prep work. So whatever amount of time you think you need to do preparing your subfloor, you may wanna consider multiplying it by 10. We got the carpet out and then we spent an hour or two getting all the nails and all of the staples out of the floor. Then we had to make sure it is flat. So in about 4 areas of my home, we actually had to use a self-leveler product. Our house is from the 70s, so 40 years of settling. Some rooms in the house were extremely flat and I didn't have to worry about anything. The bathrooms were like that, didn't have any dips or sags in the bathroom, but some of the bigger rooms, there had been some sagging in a few of those spots and we had to use the self-leveling product. You may think to yourself, it's good enough, I don't need to worry about it, it's just a little dip. But don't do that because you're gonna regret it. Either the floor is gonna come loose over time, you're not gonna be able to install it properly, or then you're gonna feel a lot of bounce. So you don't wanna be walking around on your floor feeling bounce and feeling sag. You want it to sit right against the floor. If it does so, then you can't actually even tell that the floor is floating. It feels like it is nailed or glued down, and it actually turns out really well. One of the things that got me motivated to do this myself is that I have a friend who is in construction, and he has done loads and loads of floors like this. He kind of gave me the confidence to do this myself, and he was willing to help me out. So he got me started along that end of the house, and we started working this way. And then I also had my dad helping me out as well. And having 1 or 2 other hands will make it go a lot faster. Even having one person who's picking out a plank and handing it to you before you go and start the next one can be really helpful, especially because this is a man-made product. It's essentially a computer-generated pattern. There are going to be times when you lay the same plank next to each other. And the only way you're really going to notice that is if you're sitting there and staring and looking at it. But if you install it and you spend all that time on your hands and knees making sure that you don't put the same knot next to the same knot and the same piece next to the same piece, you're the one that's going to notice that. It's highly unlikely really that someone's going to come into your house, stare at your floor and be like, hey, that plank is exactly the same as that plank. Now I can see it because I spent a solid week or 2 working on putting this floor down. But if you have somebody help you with that, they can even check out the pattern and make sure you don't repeat those same planks over and over. This classic acacia line had a lot of different individual pieces, but because of the darkness of the floor, because of the knots that you can see, and I'll put a couple pictures up here so you can see, there are some patterns that are easily noticed and repeating when you are installing the floor, some swirling patterns and some of the dark knotty pieces. So if your subfloor is in good condition, if your rooms are fairly square, you can do this yourself. Now we did it without any transitions. I didn't want to have to put transitions between the rooms. I didn't want to have to put transitions as you went into, say, a bathroom. But for the most part, we wanted it to flow freely. Now, in order to do that, it's a little bit more difficult to work with. The transitions make it easier to switch from one room to another, but then I don't really love the look of that transition piece, and it's a lot nicer if the floor just flows through. But then you have to make sure room to room, your subfloor doesn't have a dip. In fact, going into our entryway, there was a pretty big, almost like a precipice of those 2 boards over time. They had formed a peak. I had to sand that all down. I had to get a belt sander and sand probably 3 feet to make sure that was flat enough to where we could actually run the floor into the next room. Now you can't even notice. You can walk through, you don't notice any level change, so that worked out pretty well. But there is a lot of subfloor preparation that has to go in before you put this down. Then we use the Cali Complete underlayment, so we put that down everywhere. That's another thing where it's nice to have somebody helping you. Somebody can actually lay that down as you're moving toward that. And that gives the floor a nice soft feel. It gives you a little bit of cushion. I like this product. It doesn't feel as hard as tile. And even in the winter, it's warmer than a tile would be. Now we got to get to the money question. Does this floor scratch? One of the reasons that people tend to look for a luxury vinyl plank is because A lot of the advertising talks about how it's safer for pets, they won't scratch it up, safer for kids, and some of them even, I think Lowe's has a life-proof line. They really advertise this as a floor that will not scratch. So, does it scratch? We've had it down for about 2 years, and the answer is yes, absolutely, this floor will scratch. And one of the things that I noticed pretty early on, and the paperwork says this kind of in the fine print, the darker you go, the easier scratches and scuffs and dirt is really gonna show up. So if I had any regret on this floor, it's that we went with a darker colored floor. We like the warmth that it brings, that it kind of contrasts our white cabinets. But the floors, they show dirt easier. And when the sunlight hits it just right, you start to see some of those scratches. I weigh about $160, and me sitting in a dining room chair, even with felt pads under the chair, I have occasionally seen myself scratching the floor as I slide a chair back and forth when we're having meals. In fact, even in installing, we had a screwdriver out, and I had the screwdriver, and I can explain why we had to use the screwdriver. I think you can see it here on the picture. See that little black piece that's on the short end of each piece? Well, that little black thing, I think it's like a rubber seal that prevents any water from getting in on those short joints where the pieces come together on each row. And that little piece should be sitting tucked in flush. If it's not fully tucked in, then you're not gonna be able to get the pieces to come together. They're gonna jam together, they just won't go down. So I had to take a little screwdriver and I had to jam that piece in, and it really was only, maybe it was like 10 or 12 boxes that had this issue, because when I did the aged hickory in both of our bathrooms, didn't have this problem at all, but it was like a bad batch of that little piece, and that really slowed the install process down. So if you find a bunch of boxes that have that, maybe just return them. Don't do what I did. I had to keep using a screwdriver, jamming that piece in, then putting my next piece on, and I was repeating and repeating. That really slowed the install process down. No idea what that was all about. I had a screwdriver out, and I accidentally set my knee on that screwdriver and dragged it a little bit, and it made a huge scratch. Here's our dishwasher. A couple times installing the dishwasher, just pulling it out, I noticed some little scratches. So my recommendation for you is I wouldn't treat this like a scratch-proof floor. I would try to baby it like it's a wood floor. That's what we've tried to do. We put felt pads under everything. We do have a dog, but he only weighs 30 pounds. He's a poodle puppy, standard poodle, and he slides all around on this thing. He can't get any traction. I have not noticed his claws scratching this floor whatsoever. But one of the advertisements that they do here for Cali Vinyl Pro is they show that lady tap dancing with high heels around on the floor. If someone comes in my house with high heels and wants to dance, I'm gonna say, listen, we love dancing in this house, but you need to take the high heels off, okay? Because I would not let somebody just kind of pound around on this thing in high heels. It would kind of freak me out. I'd be a little bit worried about that. So there you have it, Cali Vinyl Pro. We did about 1,400 square foot of this. I really do recommend it. I bought mine at Lowe's, and one of the things you can do at Lowe's if you have a bulk order is just ask if they'll give you a discount. They probably will. I think they gave me 10% just for asking. This is the type of floor that you can install yourself. I would absolutely use Cali Vinyl again. If we ever do some of our other spaces in the home, like the basement, this is definitely the type of product I would want to use. I love that it is waterproof. It's fairly scratch resistant. I like the look and feel of the floor. So, got any questions about this floor? Maybe you have had different experiences with it. What questions do you have? Put those comments down below. Smash the like button if this video has been helpful for you, and I'll catch you in the next one.